Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Beadle. Over 30 hospitals across New York State are expected to halt elective procedures starting this Friday to free up resources to battle COVID-19. That list includes several hospitals in the southern tier. Big Fox's Matt Kleinditz joins us with the latest in tonight's top story.
Good evening, Scott. 3 southern tier hospitals are halting all elective care procedures in accordance with the governor's executive order starting on Friday. However, that list could grow as the weeks go on. Due to Governor Hochul's state of emergency order, 37 New York hospitals are halting elective surgeries starting Friday. The move will allow hospitals operating below 10% staffed bed capacity to further address COVID cases. This list includes 3 southern tier hospitals: Delaware Valley and Walton, Wilson Medical in Johnson City, and St. James in Hornell. However, more hospitals could be added to the list as staffed bed capacity hovers above 85% in the southern tier. In a statement, the St. James chief medical officer said the hospital has been running at 100% bed capacity for weeks. The hospital will review the situation weekly and continue to provide emergency surgeries. The state of emergency order will be reassessed on January 15th. Matt Kleinditz, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
The Omicron variant of the coronavirus has officially arrived in the U.S. The CDC says a case of the new mutation was detected in a person from California who returned from South Africa just before Thanksgiving and was diagnosed several days later. That person, who was vaccinated but had not yet received a booster shot, is said to be experiencing mild symptoms. A Pulteney woman who pleaded guilty to murder charges was given her sentence yesterday. Sherry Ann Ballum was sentenced to 15 years in prison for killing her husband, John. According to the district attorney, Ballum shot her husband at their home, then proceeded to hide the gun and report a false home invasion. She pleaded guilty to all charges against her. The DA has not released a motive for the murder. The Supreme Court hears oral arguments in what many say is a landmark case regarding abortion. The 9 justices gathered today to hear from attorneys who are divided on the issue over whether a Mississippi law that limits abortions after 15 weeks is constitutional. Their ruling could have a major impact on the future of Roe v. Wade. Madeline Rivera has details from the High Court.
Pro-life and pro-choice activists outside of the Supreme Court Wednesday as justices take up the most serious challenge in decades to Roe v. Wade.
They call it a watershed. Why? Because the country is divided? Because feelings run high?
The nation's highest court is hearing arguments over a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks. Under Roe, abortions are legal until about 24 weeks, which the Supreme Court ruled in the 1970s was the point when a fetus could survive outside the womb. The state of Mississippi arguing that Roe is egregiously wrong.
Abortion is a hard issue. It demands the best from all of us, not a judgment by just a few of us. When an issue affects everyone, and when the Constitution does not take sides on it, it belongs to the people.
Pro-life activists believe now is the best time to overturn the nearly half-a-century-old decision, with many closely watching the court's 6-3 conservative majority.
It's the 2 Trump justices, Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, whose votes are in play, I think, who will make the decision.
Without Roe, pro-choice supporters say women will only resort to more desperate and dangerous methods.
Our fear is that people will do things that are more harmful to themselves, and that we will go back to seeing more women end up dying because they don't want to be pregnant.
According to the Guttmacher Institute, without Roe, abortion would probably become illegal in 22 states. The Supreme Court will likely not make a decision on the case until the summer. At the Supreme Court, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
We're learning more about a shooting at a high school in Michigan that left at least 4 people dead. Brian Yennis has more.
I don't understand how anyone could do to a community what has been done.
Residents of Oxford Township, Michigan are still in shock following a school shooting that left several people dead and at least 8 others wounded. Officials say a 15-year-old sophomore opened fire at Oxford High School on Tuesday afternoon, prompting a fast response after more than 100 calls to 911. They say the student was engaged by police within minutes of their arrival on the scene and surrendered peacefully.
He was not injured and he He's currently lodged at Children's Village on campus here on homicide and attempt homicide. He has not been charged as an adult.
It's still not clear what prompted the shooting. Officials say there were vague warnings on social media that a shooting might take place at the school, but they were only informed after the incident. The suspect's name is being withheld because of his age. Police say the gun he used was purchased legally by his father just 4 days ago.
The gun had 15-round magazines. We found 2 of them.
Meanwhile, vigils and memorials are already underway in Oxford Township. Community leaders doing their best to come to terms with what happened and make sure grieving students and parents know they're not alone.
You students, this community stands with you. They're here for you. Families, they're here for you.
Police say the suspect is not cooperating in the investigation after being advised by his parents to remain silent. In New York, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
The CDC is making plans to change testing requirements for international travelers as the new Omicron variant spreads overseas. But for now, public health officials say the Delta variant remains the largest threat to the U.S. public. Jonathan Seri has more.
At least 20 countries have confirmed cases of the new Omicron variant, and now public health officials are considering new requirements for those coming into the U.S. The CDC plans to toughen COVID testing guidance for international travelers. The revised order would require them to provide a negative COVID test taken within 24 hours of their departure. The agency currently requires vaccinated people to get tested 3 days before travel.
We are actively looking for the Omicron variant. CDC is evaluating how to make international travel as safe as possible.
Scientists say it could take about 2 weeks to test whether Omicron can evade protection from drug treatments or vaccines. Merck says its antiviral COVID pill will likely be active against the new variant. On Tuesday, FDA advisors narrowly backed that drug.
Could be that we're going to have less protection because some of it's going to be mutated, but not all of it.
Meanwhile, health experts warn the Delta variant still poses a threat. The strain continues to fuel an increase in hospitalizations as people in colder states spend more time indoors. Doctors are doubling down on calls for vaccines and booster shots.
Should serve as a wake-up call for us that the pandemic is not over. It's still continuing. The measures that we've taken thus far to get through the pandemic should still be in effect.
The CDC is also expanding surveillance at 4 major international airports to monitor for Omicron. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
The countdown to Christmas continues in Corning with the 46th annual Sparkle event. The event will close Market Street to allow local restaurants and businesses to expand outside. Live performers, horse-drawn carriages, and Santa Claus will all be on hand throughout the Gaffer District. Colleen Fabrizi says this event will create some new and fun memories for families throughout the area.
It's sort of like a winter snow globe when you hold it in your hand and you see this amazing, quaint little downtown and you just want to step into it and experience it. That's exactly what Sparkle is.
Sparkle will kick off on Saturday at 4 in the afternoon. Still ahead tonight, nurses around the country are feeling burned out by staffing shortages and capacity challenges.
We're seeing patient volumes at 120% occupancy. We are functioning at a capacity level at or greater than at the peak of the pandemic.
The daily reality for nurses being asked to do more with less, coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. Quite a mild day today with temperatures running at just a little bit warmer than they were yesterday, but we're on target for the early part of December. Our average high is in the 40s, and we did reach the 40s today as well. So this afternoon it was about 6 degrees warmer in Corning, Elmira around 7 degrees warmer, 2 in Wayland, and around 6 degrees warmer in Mansfield. Here's the situation. Tonight we will drop down into the 30s, and then as we head into the early morning hours, those temperatures will be rising as clouds start to increase. There is the possibility of a few showers as well. So keep that in mind as we head into the overnight. It's not going to be quite as cold as it was this morning. We do have the possibility of showers in spots throughout the day. Then behind the system that will be moving through, a cold breeze will be coming in on Friday, and that's going to cause those temperatures to cool down just a little bit. By Saturday, we have another system that will be clipping our area, and it will bring the precipitation back along with cooler air. For tomorrow, though, we do have a low pressure system that will be moving toward the Great Lakes region and then eastward across Canada. We are going to be located on the south side of it, or the warmer side, and that's why our precipitation will be falling as rain instead of snow. But then colder air will wrap around that low pressure system on Friday, and it is going to turn colder. So here's a look at your forecast on Thursday. We start off in the 40s, and then we warm up to around 50 degrees by noon, 51 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with mostly cloudy conditions, a few spotty showers here and there, and then we dive back down into the low 40s in the evening hours. Here's a look at your future radar, where we're finding just a few sprinkles for tonight across many of our viewing area, and then as we head into tomorrow, we start off with mostly cloudy conditions, and then rain starts to move in by mid-morning, lasts through the early afternoon, and then by 6 o'clock, the precipitation can be changing to snow as those temperatures will be diving down right after sunset. So just keep that in mind. It will get quite cold as northerly winds will be howling in behind the system. On Friday, I think it will be a little bit drier. I don't anticipate any snowfall during the day. Maybe a few flurries early in the day, but that's pretty much it. And then on Saturday, we could start off with a few snow showers or just a few flurries, but overall, it looks like colder air will ride in as the system clips our area. So on Saturday, a low pressure system starts to form in the central part of the country, moves through the Great Lakes region, clips our area, and so we could see a wintry mix by Saturday, and then colder air moving in on Sunday. Tonight, we drop down into the 30s. Again, that's going to be near midnight. Highs will be close to around 50 degrees tomorrow. It will cool down Friday and Saturday, and then cold on Sunday with a high around 38.
Nurses around the country are feeling burned out by worsening staffing shortages and capacity challenges. Drew Caritas has more.
We're seeing patient volumes at 120% occupancy. We are functioning at a capacity level at or greater than at the peak of the pandemic.
More patients staying longer periods of time at Boston area hospitals, and a higher number of patients arriving at emergency rooms with each day.
Healthcare has been in this really relentless state of demand. It gets exhausting.
Terry Hudson-Jinks is the chief nursing officer at Tufts Medical Center, where she says on average about 15 to 25 of the hospital beds are being occupied by patients with COVID-related illnesses. She says it's everything from cardiac to neurological conditions that are bringing capacity to a tipping point.
We are watching the COVID predictions really carefully every single day, and we'll be prepared to take additional steps if that's in fact necessary.
Over at Brigham and Women's Hospital, the burnout is also a daily reality for nurses being asked to do more with less.
There can be anywhere from 30 to 60 patients a day just waiting in the emergency room. And so where do we put these patients and how do we take care of them safely?
Kelly Morgan is a labor and delivery nurse at Brigham and Women's who says the escalating strain is putting a growing number of nurses in a tough predicament.
We've all reached maximum threshold burnout. The burden is so unreal. We feel so stressed. It's also made a lot of nurses take a step back and go, I can't do this anymore.
This next variant, is this the one? Is this the one that's going to put me back in the ICU? Is this the one that's going to get me sick or my wife sick? I like to think that I'll be able to do it, and I certainly hope to, but at what cost?
The nurses we spoke with tell us some of their fellow staff nurses have left to take higher paying positions as travel nurses, while others have left the health field altogether.
More Americans are applying for a new credit card. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York says close to 27% of U.S. consumers reported in October they had signed up for a new card. That's a rate not seen since before the pandemic. Demand for cards and loans declined early in the pandemic because Americans were concerned about taking on new debt. And restrictions on travel and dining resulted in weaker demand for credit cards. One of the world's greatest golfers is doubting the future of his professional career and reflecting on his legacy. Kevin Corke has more on why Tiger Woods may never compete again.
I don't foresee this leg ever being what it used to be. Clock's ticking. I'm getting older.
Golf legend Tiger Woods facing an uncertain future, revealing Tuesday he doesn't know if he'll be able to play full-time at the professional level ever again. During his first news conference since his tragic car accident back in February.
The full practice schedule and the recovery that it would take to do that, no, I don't have any desire to do that.
Police say Woods was traveling over the speed limit down a Los Angeles road notorious for car accidents when he crashed an SUV, suffering serious injuries to his right leg and requiring intensive surgery. Since then, Woods says he's been making progress, adding that he's come back from surgeries before, but still has an awful long way to go.
As far as playing at the tour level, I don't know when that's going to happen. Now, I'll play around here and there, a little hit and giggle. I can do something like that.
And while the prospect of not being able to compete again is crushing for many an athlete, Woods says his last win at the 2019 Masters tournament is putting him at peace.
It's been tough at times, yes. Some dark moments, but then again, as I was making progress through it too, I could see some light.
Woods promises to keep fans up to date on his recovery and if his future in the sport ever changes. Until then, he says he's enjoying the extra time that he now has to spend with his kids.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission wants you to have a happy and safe holiday season, and it has some tips to help before you put your Christmas tree up this year, if you haven't done so already. Real trees can lead to flames if they're dried out, so you should water them regularly. And keep your trees, real or fake, away from fireplaces, radiators, and other heat sources. The CPSC also recommends looking for a notice that decorations are fire resistant before you buy them. A classic Christmas carol tells the story of 12 types of gifts over 12 days. But the prices of those things have changed a lot over the years. Lauren Green tells us who's keeping track of these things and just how much some of those prices have jumped.
Most of the items in the classic 12 Days of Christmas song rarely make it on anyone's gift list. But the annual price index is an entertaining way of looking at a key component of our economic health. Most retail outlets don't sell a partridge in a pear tree, but if they did, it would cost you $222.68, a 6% increase from 2019, according to PNC. PNC's annual Christmas price index calculates the price of those gifts in the song in today's dollars. This year, it's showing an average 5.7% increase from its pre-pandemic level, the largest increase in 8 years, for a total cost of $41,206 compared with $38,994. The greatest increase came from 2 turtle doves, up 50% to $450, and 6 geese a-laying, up a whopping 57.1% to over $660. The 5 golden rings seem like a bargain in comparison, up just 8.5% at $895. According to PNC, the price index is a lighthearted way of looking at the hard fact of consumer spending, which is the, quote, drumbeat for the U.S. economy. Nearly 70% of the country's GDP is tied to consumption, and the Christmas holiday season is a huge chunk of the total. President Joe Biden on Monday assuring company CEOs the season looks merry and bright.
We're looking toward the holiday season. We feel a lot more like the ones we had in the past. Consumer spending has recovered to where it was headed before the pandemic.
According to the National Retail Federation, the average American consumer expects to pay $648 this holiday season on gifts for family, friends, and co-workers.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. The McAllisters are away for the holidays, and you can defend their house while they're away. Airbnb is opening up stays at the real-life Home Alone house for the first time. Now, you won't exactly be home alone, with up to 4 guests allowed for overnight stays in the McAllister Chicago area home. Guests can channel Kevin, acting out their favorite scenes, getting into mischief, and eating all the junk food they want. Prices start at $25, and Airbnb will make a special donation to a Chicago Children's Hospital. Sounds like a fun getaway for a day or two this month. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.